Let's get it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just
so
wanna
shy.
watch the-
I just want to watch the awkwardness.
With the song, see what happens. Just start Kohl.
What is up, Prolific
That's
Podcast?
not the right one.
It's
See?
okay. See, he's still
Learn the
learning
right
his
one.
buttons, Cambree. You're
No, that's
I
not
know.
it. Okay,
there it is.
there you go.
There it is. Or the.
No, that's not it.
What?
No.
Oh, that was
one.
good.
It's that one.
All right, here we go. All right. Hey, what up, Prolific Podcast? Hope you guys are doing great. We are super looking forward to today's episode. We got some great friends, some great past students of ours, just people that have done incredible things in their life, in their relationship with the Lord, and they are engaged. Their wedding date is in what? Yeah, that's the... You don't know.
4
No
months.
one knows if you're
No,
engaged, Cole.
exactly.
No one knows. Everyone knows you're engaged.
He
but-
really wants to
but
wear his
who?
wedding ring early.
Who are you
I said
engaged
no.
to?
I said no.
I said no.
That's a sign of early marriage right
Oh
there.
my gosh, right there. I
He
said no. Yeah, so we're super looking forward to today because we're going to talk dating, we're going to talk relationship, we're going to talk a little bit of engagement, we're going to talk about just different questions. And so, we're just really excited. We've been, it's been a couple weeks now that we've been planning this and just, so I'm looking forward to you guys excited?
I'm pumped.
Pumped. We're figuring out camera stuff, so we have 3 cameras going on today. So hi, Alejo's camera, and everyone's really close to each other. So we're figuring this out. So
For the record, I hate this thing.
he hates this thing,
But
but
Joey's making me use it.
I am because he would be the entire time if we don't have it. So it's like grounding someone.
All
you know?
right, all right.
You're grounded.
Guys, so a little bit about you, because
yeah.
So a lot of the people that watch us know you guys, because we have known the same people for a long time, right? But
at the same time, there's some people that you have never met.
That
you know,
you've
I
never
have family
met.
members and people that are listening and people that we don't even know that listen on YouTube and stuff like that. So so just a little bit about you guys and
tell us. So how about you tell us your age and tell us like what you're doing right now in your life? Just like what does that look like right now?
Yeah. I'm Cambree, and
Hi,
I'm
Cambree.
20.
Hi, Cambree.
20 years young, and I'm in nursing school. So I work at a couple hospitals, and I am finishing up my last semester of nursing school. So I'm very excited for that.
That's
right
awesome.
around the corner from being a nurse. So yeah,
how weird is it that it's
super weird. Super weird. If I was actually talking to a professor today that it's literally the longest, quickest season ever. Like it feels so long, but then you look back and it's like, oh my gosh, like we're already almost done. It's insane.
Wow.
and you have so much stuff going on. I mean, you're engaged. You got engaged while
Yeah.
like you were doing some schooling prior to college, right?
Yeah.
Like some through it, so it was
Yeah.
just different, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My life is busy,
just-
but it's almost
But
like
keep
coming down. So.
yeah. It's
It doesn't,
exciting.
if it helps, it doesn't. You don't make it look like it's that busy. You know what I'm
I
saying?
try.
Yeah. They look
The
like,
good Lord. Because
the Lord.
I'm
awesome.
going a little kooky sometimes. But
Now, has it been harder or easier or about what you expected nursing school?
the content's easier. The schedule was crazier than I expected.
Oh,
At
okay.
times.
Okay.
At times. Different semesters have been different, but I definitely thought the content was going to be harder, but it's good. It's
That's
come
what I would
naturally.
expect as well. You're also obviously very smart as well. So probably for some people, the content's like,
It's come naturally. It's good. It's good.
Helping a review. It's like
Yep.
Cole can't pronounce
90% of the
Amen.
things
Yes.
about.
I know the feeling. When Stephanie was going through it, I'm like, you're speaking French to me right now. I don't have a clue what you're saying. Have you had to be her test dummy yet for anything? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a little weird, right?
it's really weird.
It's a little weird. Like, hey, sit
Definitely
down
did one of
here.
my first assessments
Yeah,
on him.
right.
Yeah.
So
During
you're
COVID
neat.
video.
Did you act like you were like dying or something? Did you do any of that?
I think I passed.
Oh, good. I mean, you're
Did
alive.
not die.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me if I didn't or didn't.
There's a passing grade for a patient? Gosh, damn. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
so fun fact that USF, that's actually a job that you could have on
You can
campus.
be a dummy?
Yeah, so you can. So they give you like these like scripts
Oh.
of what like a sickness or something that you can like play. I don't know if you like have the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, and
Sorry, I had like 14 jokes that went through my head that I was like, don't.
But it's like
say
such
it.
an easy way of making money. Like
yeah.
you just like, okay, this is what I have to pretend I have, and
I
you
do
just
that every
walk
day.
in and yeah.
I do that every day. I'm a dummy every day. Okay.
I'm gonna
feel like
save that.
Steve
and I'm just
Carell.
gonna keep sending
Dude.
it to you.
I just think of The Office when Jim and Steve Carell, he's like, you just insult yourself. You know, it's way easier. It just keeps everyone off of it. And he's
I
bringing
just
Steve
love how you
Carell
call
goes
Jim
way
and
too
Steve
far.
Carell.
That's what I was about to
I
say.
apologize. I'm so
so
sorry.
lost
I'm so
right now.
sorry. So sorry. Michael and Jim from The Office. Whenever Jim's like, you just have to make fun of yourself, you know? And then Michael goes outside and like makes it way worse for himself. Starts like, oh, too far. It's just, that's, yeah.
Can you tell I don't watch The Office?
Yeah,
I'm
you're like,
okay.
You know you can still run. You know that, right? You can still get out.
Think about it sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, or just force her to watch The Office. Like,
There are very
phone down.
few shows
That's okay. It's
that
just my phone fell.
I was able to get her to watch.
Yeah.
Like we watched Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
That's a
pretty good.
very intense TV show.
Yeah, I mean, I
was
started.
good.
I started it, took a break
It's
from
really
it for
good.
like 4 years, and
Yeah.
then she watched like the final season with me, and she's like, "Dang, I really wish I started this with you." I was
Yeah?
like,
I'll
try
say the way
telling
it
you.
starts too. It's like
Seems really raunchy.
yeah, it's like
Oh,
yeah,
does
yeah,
it not?
yeah.
So
Like the first episode, you're like,
that's
Okay.
actually why I never watched it. Was because I literally watched like 2 minutes of it, and I was like,
yeah.
I
don't
can
wanna watch this.
confirm the
Never mind.
last couple seasons
pretty good.
pretty
Yeah?
good.
Ah,
And I was skeptical. So.
yeah.
All right, so enough about show. So tell us about you, bro.
Yeah, my name's Cole. I'm 20 years old, real estate agent.
Is your name really Cole?
It's really not.
It's really
Timothy,
not.
Timothy Cole. Timothy Cole Turpin.
Are you the real Cole or the one the Illuminati gave
Yeah,
us?
which one? Are you the fake one?
Nobody's going to get that.
Nobody's gonna get
It's
that.
fine. Everything's fine.
Kanye's not real.
Kanye's not real. That's the important information here.
Important information. All right.
That's gonna be the title of this.
yeah,
Kanye's
episode.
not real. All right, keep going.
20 years old, top agent on Zillow.
Oh my God.
Come on,
Here
come on,
we
bro.
go.
Be proud of it.
USF alumni.
Let's
in
go.
Business marketing for 4 years,
on.
bachelor's degree. I graduated high school with my AA and took 2 years to get my bachelor's. So it's kind of my thing.
Come on.
Awesome,
Yes.
guys.
So, how did
Mega
you guys meet?
overachiever.
Mega overachiever. You both are. You be quiet. You both
Mega.
are. You guys. You're
have
an
6
overachiever.
certifications
And
in all
oh my
Adobe
gosh.
products
All Adobe.
and-
I am. No, I'm not gonna say that. All right.
So real quick, Joey, just to give a little bit of context too, because I feel like, so obviously to us it's very obvious why we have Kohl and Cambree here, and I've said this a lot of times before that this podcast, for me, one of the reasons why it's like super important is because I just feel like there's so much that your generation needs, and that I just feel responsible to share or to give them, you know, from all different areas of life. But of course, if you guys have watched the podcast at all, and of course you guys have followed you more than Cole, but
I'm a real fan.
I respect Cambree way more. I respect Cole right now.
but
Dang.
a lot of what we do is to bless and to encourage future marriages, right? Like future families and all that stuff. And so the reason why, one of the main reasons, of course, because we love them and because there's so much for them to share and so much for us to learn from them. Excuse me. But I was so excited to have you guys over so that you could speak about, you're an exception. You are currently engaged, that you're 20 and you're also 20 years old. That's like unheard of.
Yeah.
Right? Like how many of the people in your life right now that are your age are in the same boat as you?
Very few. I couldn't name anyone else who.
Do you have
Like
a
started
name? Do you have
dating.
a name?
I know one other person that I went to high school with that's engaged.
Wow. Okay. And
Crazy.
But not dating from freshman year.
Oh, not the same story, no.
Yeah, that's even more of an exception,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
want to ask you guys about, like all the ins and the outs of that, because you know, we always have this conversation, right? Like now that we have kids, I'm like, I'm absolutely not letting my kids date anybody in high school.
That's what we say.
I'm
We
gonna
don't even have
Right,
kids
right.
yet.
Yeah, we've said the same thing.
Because it's like, what's the profit of it?
We've
But
said the
obviously, you
same
guys are
thing.
such a, and I guess you could always like say, and you know, it is an exception. Like there
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
very many people that can date through as savage as high school is and as rough as it is,
Yeah.
and all the pressures and the things that like could be on your relationship, which I want to ask you guys about. But the fact that you're engaged today, like that's really encouraging for us, for Joey and I. I really hope that it's encouragement to somebody out there that is like your age, because there are so many misconceptions about just marriage and relationships and family that like the society has convinced people of. And so I'm just excited for them to hear from you. So I just wanted to give a little context about that. And so I want to ask you, so tell me a little bit about, so obviously you met in high school, right? So you don't have to go super into detail about how exactly you met, but how about you tell me like how you guys met, and then give me a little bit of detail about like what that was like dating through high school for however many, tell me how many years and just how that was.
So I got friend zoned. That's how it all started.
Period.
Any good girl will friend zone you at the start.
I hit her up.
100%.
I hit her up in the church
Ew.
group chat,
hey!
This
and
is so
Spit that
terribly
liquor.
accurate.
I don't even remember what it is. I have screenshots on my phone. It was like super cringy, like what's your favorite show? And she's like, well, I actually really like watching The Flash with my BF. I'm like,
We totally don't need all these details.
No, this is
your
important. I want
BF.
to hear this. I want to hear this.
No,
Hold on.
okay.
I'm ready for this.
This is news to me. Hold on. Let me hear
BF
this.
was not standing for boyfriend; it was standing for best friend.
Best
but I was
friend.
also attempting to friend zone, so there
Yes.
was room for
there was some truth to it.
interpretation.
as soon as I
she was vague on
There was vague on translation.
Wow.
I love it.
as
I
soon
love
as I
it.
saw BF pop up, I was like, nope. Try again next
Really?
time.
Denied.
Try again in a week.
So it worked. Okay. So did you stop there or what happened?
No, then I waited like 6 months. Follow up.
My boy.
Persistent.
Hey, that's that drip campaign, baby.
He was drip campaigning before he was a realtor.
So then I hit her
Follow
up.
up, boss.
Can we make an app that is meant to follow up for dating relationships? This
So
is
the reason why
genius.
we're laughing is because Cole today, what he does is he follows up with leads, like sales leads. So this is your first
I was the
successful-
OG lead.
Your first lead, his
Yo.
original
100%
lead.
close rate.
Let's go, baby.
Not yet. You're just
Not
you're,
yet, not
you're
yet.
at a 90%
Better
right now.
not.
You better.
We trial closed with engagement. We're halfway there. We got
We
like
have-
118 days.
We have signed the documents.
Escrow is
Partially.
definitely there.
Yeah.
Try it close. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
trial. That's a good trial close. All right, keep going.
So then I hit her up like 6 months later.
Oh god.
And then she wasn't with best friend anymore, and it was all clear to go. So then, we had youth auditions. She got hired because she sang. I sang, and I got hired to play the drums for some
I
reason.
love how you call it hired.
Hired, yeah.
It's very
I never paid
specific.
you,
I
but-
don't know. Yeah,
Cole
sure.
auditioned for singing. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
and
I auditioned.
they told Cole you could play the box.
You know what? We love your heart.
Wait a minute.
Go over there.
No, Cole is actually the only person on the team that never
Yeah.
had to audition.
Yeah,
No,
you brought him
he
right
never
in.
auditioned.
Not for the box, no.
Not for the box.
Wait, did you
He
audition for something
auditioned for
else?
singing.
Yeah, he
the
did.
same day I auditioned. It said you could play the box.
I don't
Play the
remember that.
Yeah, I went to the audition. I auditioned for singing. And then the next week I got a text, hey, worship team or new worship team members, here's our new singers, Cambree, Nerelise, a couple other people. And it was like Cajon, Cole. I was like,
What the heck was a cajon?
yeah, what's a Cajon?
Actually, you probably looked
This
at
was
it
Alejo that did
because
this,
it was
by the way.
Cajun, technically. So you probably you're like, what the heck is a Cajun? What
Yeah,
is a
Cajun?
That's literally. Like,
I
what
looked
is
it up
that?
and I was like,
So the reason why this is funny is because I was a worship leader at the time. I don't even remember this, bro. I sent that text out.
I think so.
Sounds about
Well,
right.
all I knew is I needed to have you on the team. You know what I'm saying?
You just had to
I
be
just
there.
Can you fill a
He'll
role?
get there.
Triangle was already taken, so Cajon was there.
Yikes. But anyways.
I love this. Keep
we-
going. This is
Yeah,
great.
then I was like, hey, you did like a great job singing. And then we kind of kicked it off from there.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Also,
then
it really was the worship team that got
it
you guys
really
started.
was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We really only talked for a few weeks, maybe like a couple months before we started dating, which we were 14 when we started dating. So
Which, by the way,
was crazy.
this was a surprise to everybody that Cole Turpening was dating Cambree Sargable. Like it was a surprise for everybody that I was dating Tara.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I was their youth pastors.
Outkicked
so
my coverage.
like my man outranked himself by a long shot during
Bro,
that
I
time.
just have-
It was before
I have
puberty too.
so much
There was
respect.
there was before puberty
Oh
for
yeah,
you young
that
man.
It was-
that was
Before
all what
the
he
glow
called it.
up.
Riz. That's all Riz.
It was all
Yeah,
Riz.
yeah.
Call me the
And-
Rizosaurus Rex.
Please don't clip that.
my man said, I'm gonna take this risk and it's worth it. Oh yeah, I remember that.
I have a lot of respect for that 6-month follow up, bro.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, drip campaign.
Dream
Come on,
campaign
baby.
before you even knew what it was. So
But-
now that he gets to tell his story, so Cambree, how
Yeah.
was your story in this process in this
It
whole
was
thing?
definitely the same. I was like very unsure. I literally remember thinking to myself, maybe I'll friend zone him because I want to keep him around because he has some potential there. I literally remember my
There's
thinking.
something to say about how girls.
Oh, don't even get me
gonna-
fired up on that one.
Right? This is a good thing and a bad thing because this happened with my wife as well. I feel like girls, when it comes to like the guy they're gonna get married to, like you identify certain things that you do want, you know, and it might not be all the things that you want because nobody has all the things you want. I mean, if we're really, really honest, like nobody has all the things you want. But there's like a perfect person for you, you know, and I really believe that that's like Cole for you and you for Cole. But
Yeah.
I think there's just something so interesting about how like girls do that. Like they'll keep around.
How you
Like,
deny.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna, and it's like this, it's a part of the whole courting thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna I'm not gonna give you like all the attention, but I'm gonna give you enough to keep you around because I'm trying to figure out if like there's there's a few things that I like. So yeah that's cool.
And then we were talking for a little bit before we started dating. And then it was like a really big deal for me to be dating somebody. Like I have
Was that your first boyfriend?
Yeah.
I asked her out over text.
I have very like.
All right. Well, that I'm a little disappointed in. But let's keep going.
That is one of the letdowns.
Yeah. Cambree's like, you could have had it all.
Bro, that's an in-person appointment, bro. That's not a phone close.
That is not done
Hey,
on the phone.
all the houses I've bought so far were over the phone. So.
Oh my gosh. Maybe they don't like him in person, so he had to sell it over the phone.
So
keep going.
it was just a really big deal for me to be dating somebody, especially that young. Like my parents are just very particular, and we have rules. And like I had to ask, like, am I allowed to date somebody? Like I was also really young, so you couldn't even drive a car. Like it was a whole
have a lot
thing.
of respect and honor for your parents, which is a huge part of like. And I want to touch on that later about you guys, like about like just the influence of your parents and like your relationship and its success. But I love you even saying that, Cambree. And just forgive me for interrupting you, but like that's like unheard of in today's day.
Yeah.
Like it's unheard of that like a person that is younger at how old were you at that time?
14.
14. So at 14, that you would have enough respect and honor for your parents to like go to them and say, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Because we continue to be in a society where like we're told you're 11, change your gender or whatever, right? Like, and it's like at 14 with a decision as simple as, am I going to give this guy my time and my attention?
Right.
Yeah. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely an expectation as well. It wasn't just like goodness in my heart, you know.
Right.
That's how
but
it is.
you honored it.
Yeah. Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because people do this in secret.
Oh yeah, parents have expectations, and we move past them secretly all the time.
Yeah.
Right, all the time.
So that was just a really big deal. And then we started dating, and it was our first date going out was Joe and Stephanie's wedding.
Yep. Yeah. They came to
That was the first like public appearance.
We were
pretty
at the
much.
first day. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, like the foreshadowing is really crazy now. The first date was a wedding.
Funny.
Yeah.
But that was our first like thing, and we were 14, and then I turned 15 shortly after. But like we couldn't drive for a year, so like it wasn't like typical dating scene like for young people.
You didn't go to the same school
It was
either.
youth ministry.
We didn't go to
Which
the
is
same
probably
school.
super healthy as well. I
Oh
imagine.
my gosh, like that's the biggest thing that I will probably say that like was good, really good for our relationship. Being so young, being so immature, kids are dumb. Like
Right.
not going to the same school was the biggest blessing in disguise.
So why? Tell me why.
Because we didn't have all of that drama of like people making stuff up about your relationship and the chitter chatter of like just people and people's influence. I think 1 and 2, I think healthy separation was 100%.
Come on.
That's good.
Just
good.
so
Like
needed.
develop on your own. Like
So
have your
needed.
day on
Have
your
your own
own. Your
friends.
friends. Come on, man.
All of that, just so needed because I think especially being so young, being so impressionable, you can be just like completely engrossed in each other and you lose out on so many friendships. You lose out on just a lot of experience in general. And so we literally saw each other maybe twice a week on a good week. Like we saw each other at youth
Maybe.
and we saw each other at church.
Now I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say this, and you correct me if I'm right, then just blink or whatever.
Wink once.
So you said you barely saw each other. It was probably good for you because you could, harness good relationships and friendships in your life. I am willing to bet if you guys are anything like I was with Tara, that you hated that and that you loved it.
100%.
I'm gonna try to get that
And
cut
so
there.
I'm just gonna pause there and say this. I'm gonna pause this, and I didn't ask you guys that ahead of time, but I think that there is something so normal about a young man, and I see myself, and that's why I didn't know if you were gonna blink your eyes actually, but now that you do, I think I can say
I'll blink them again.
I'll blink them real hard right now.
that like when you're young, when you're at that age where you still have all this insecurity in you, and relationships are still part of this like way in which you get your own affirmation, right? That getting all the time from another person like Cambree is not even a good thing for you, right? And so pause there, right? So one thing, and then on your side, and I just think this is a testament to like your parents and the way that they raised you and how they encouraged you and made you just a secure woman and all that stuff, that you would know that it was a good thing to just have some separation. You still are into the guy. You're still dating the guy. You're not like trying to get away from the guy, but you're like, let's do this the right way. Let's have enough space. And it's so cool because you remind me a lot of like when Tara was that age. I was like, why aren't you like the rest of the girls that just want to like get their face eaten up in the middle of the yeah, I mean, just being honest, right? Like
you're wrong about
in
it.
the middle
It's
of the
so
hallway.
true.
Like why aren't you like? And the difference is that those girls just were so insecure and hungry that they couldn't understand what you understood then. So I just love hearing that. So okay, so you're saying that the separation was good.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, when did you figure out that that was a good thing? When did you realize that?
I mean, I don't think we realized it until we were engaged and we look back because people started to ask us like, you know, what did you guys do? Like, obviously we went through a really rough patch like the first 2 years.
First 2 years
'cause
were not good.
We're figuring out.
Not good.
Looking back, it's, you know, we were figuring out that distance because I was like super clingy. It was disgusting.
It was also
Accurate.
normal.
But
Yeah.
but I was figuring that out. Like hindsight's 2020. That's what we were trying to figure out is what's the healthy space for me? What's the healthy space for her?
Yeah.
You know, she had her friends. I had my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't want to leave one friend in the dust because you're going after a girl at 14, right? And
Which happens all the time.
yeah, and,
all the
and
time.
friendships did suffer,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I
Definitely.
don't think it was until we were engaged we really had a second to look back and realize, oh wow, like, I mean, I attribute making it this far was to that healthy space.
So why do you feel like it took you so long to like actually look back and to look back into high school? Why do you feel like it took until you were engaged to like look back to
I
that?
think for those of the listeners who don't know, we got engaged like right out of high school, like in early college. So that period was kind of for us to look back retrospectively on high school experience. And so like that being at the forefront of our minds, you know, saying that we're engaged, whatever, that was when high school was over. And so we're able to look back at high school and see some people, you know, like, I don't know. Can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I went off on a tangent
You're
and
good.
I
Why did it
lost
take
myself.
to-
Yeah,
like-
why do you feel like it took
Like
so
when you got
long
engaged.
to the engagement? Even though, again, like you
look
said,
back.
engagement wise didn't happen super long after high school.
Right.
But you could have had that moment in your senior year. You could have had that moment before you were engaged. Why do you feel like it was like that moment when you were engaged that it was like,
Those were good
Right.
things.
We kind of look back on our high school experience and see other relationships, I think, that didn't have that separation and that suffered because you're so in each other's lives and people are so in your lives. Like people
And people want to be. in
think
that.
they have so much opinion to just tell you
Come on,
anything about your relationship in
Talk
your
about it.
life. It's so irritating. And just create things that are totally false. Like people just make things up.
Yeah.
And so us not having that, which was, or to an extent, not having that was so beneficial because we had that space. And looking back out of high school when we're in college, feel adult, living life, you know, and we realized that was so helpful. Like it just being able to see that right
and
out
it doesn't
of it.
mean whenever you say like you didn't have a lot of people that were talking into your relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you didn't have mentors because you guys had mentors.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you had
Yeah.
pastors, you had people that oversight. You know, again, Stephanie and I were part of your guys'
Yeah.
you know, dating life throughout that. And so it's more of the you felt like you didn't have all of the high school drama. You didn't have the
Yeah.
middle school drama. Like now you still did.
Well, you also had the church
Like,
drama.
Yeah, there's still
Yeah.
Oh,
drama.
100%.
Yeah, like there's still drama, but it was to where, correct me if I'm wrong, it was almost like you didn't have as many voices that didn't have an opinion that was needed. Did that make
Yeah.
sense? Like where you would hear something from someone, but it didn't have as much weight as of, you know, Pastor Alejo or Pastor Joey
Right.
or, you know, what
Right.
you'd fill in the blank where you're like, these people voices have weight.
Yeah.
Yours doesn't really have a lot of weight in my
Yeah.
life right now.
And
Which is a skill, by the way, Cambree, forgive me for cutting you off there. Which is a skill that I believe there are people that are in their 50s and they still don't have it. You know, like having, and I want to encourage you and tell you, like, even as you get married, the voices will not cease, right?
Nope.
Like you're going to have your
Nope.
in-laws, you're going to have like just people around. And I know you guys are already equipped for that because you've already been in high school and had to experience how to develop that skill. But like what's really sad for me, for example, is like when I see a marriage and I'm like, you listen to your best friend more than your wife.
Yeah.
You like,
Right.
you know, and it's like people don't know how to separate those things. They're not emotionally mature enough to like separate those things. So I want to ask you this. Oh, actually, finish that thought, and I have a question for you. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that like we were so mature, you know, like in high school. I think both of us were abnormally mature. I always joke that I came out of the womb 20. Like I've been born to adult. Like
I have been bold.
Not
for
me
that.
so much.
you were.
You rubbed off on me.
I rubbed off on
I could agree
I
with
rubbed
that
off
as an
on-
outside source. I could agree.
That's
which is
also
also just normal.
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing I will plug until I die is that the one benefit, there's lots of benefits, but a major benefit of being so young, dating and getting married young and all these things is that we got together at such an impressionable age for both of us that like we got to correct each other and mold together to be the best versions of ourselves that like I definitely helped mature you, but you helped like do so many things for me to
Likewise,
to benefit myself.
Yeah, I heard something really good on that. It was by Ben Shapiro. He's talking about like him and his wife got married. He was 23 and his wife was 19 or 20 or something like that, like super young, just similar to our ages. And he got questioned by a guy in a podcast, like, why do you think it's good for younger people to get married sooner than later? Because the average age right now is like 26 for females. Their average age of getting married, and for males is 28. So he said, well, you know, you mature until you're 25. That's when you're growing. That's when you're maturing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the earlier you start dating, you're able to grow along with somebody rather than, you know, you're both set in hard ways after you're 25 and
Right.
you can't really, you know, flex to each other. Now, of course, there's the unshakable things that you really have to agree on in marriage.
Right.
But you have those times, those flexible things, you know, like how much time we spend with each other. Like, that's flexible. I don't need to be with her 24/7. That's something we had to change because I thought that. And she was like, oh, I could see you once a week, maybe once every other week, and I'll be all right.
No.
But I think that's
Sounds
such
so
a,
much like Tara.
I think that's such a big thing with getting married young is we've already, this month is our 6-year anniversary. So
Yeah.
having grown for 6 years together before getting married in January, I feel like we've been able to grow a lot
Yeah.
together.
Well,
and
you guys
really
have-
understand
You
people.
guys have gone through so much.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
reality, when you look at the time frame and the amount of time you guys have spent together and the amount of development mentally and spiritually and in your soul, like and physically, like you have gone through so many different things. And many people, I think it's like less than 1% of like high school relationships actually stay together. But like, and I believe one of the biggest reasons is because you are going through so much change.
Oh, yeah.
And what I believe is if the people that go through high school together and or middle school, whatever it might be, and they're dating and they can get through the aspect that you're going to change, that's the number one thing in a relationship that I feel like a lot of people get like they get stuck on. It's like it's literally like this edge on a mountain that they're like, oh my gosh, because the statement you hear all the time in divorce is, well, they changed.
Yeah.
When it's like, well, yes, people
Right.
change. Like, and I hope you change. Like, I hope Stephanie grows, which means in growth there will be change.
Well, and
Now-
we haven't made a point, and I think this is not that I think I know. This is probably the most important point for the success that you guys have had is that you had the same influence.
Yeah.
Your influence, and by the same influence, I'm not talking about the same person or ideas. I'm talking about the fact that you were surrounded by godly examples, right? So if I had to come up with like a short list, right, of like things that I look at your relationship and I'm like, okay, well, why did Kohl and Cambree? Because Tara and I had to break up during
Right.
high school and
Right.
come back at a more mature time.
could have broken
right?
up.
So like, why did you guys succeed? Well, I could list a few things. Like, first and foremost, I think you guys had great examples in your parents,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
like,
gosh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna ask you this question.
100%.
Just give me a simple yes or no. Did you ever think a marriage was a bad idea?
No.
No, right? Why?
Just made sense.
My parents are married and marriage works. And
Was
that's
it
what we're
beautiful at
supposed to
home?
do.
Was it beautiful?
Yeah.
Was it like when you look at their marriage? Did you ever think, oh, they're better far apart?
No.
No.
Never, right? So the fact that you had a good example in marriage
Yeah.
probably has such a great effect on your expectation of life that you're going to get married. So I believe that all of those different things that you had in your life, namely the space that you had, the parents that you had, the example and the marriages that you had, the mentors that you had, the pastors that you had, the philosophy that you were trying to follow too, because that's something else too.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school, I didn't have the information you guys had.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I didn't have that information, of like love is, patient and all these. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
All I knew was clingy, affirm myself, get as much validation as I can. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I
So
mean,
it's
you
just
also weren't saved. So you do have to take that into account.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Like,
because they were saved at. I mean, how old were you guys when you actually truly said Yeshua is my savior, not based off my parents, but based off your own faith? What would you say that was like the time frame for you?
14.
14. So this is the place where now their expectations, even in their spirit, now their spirit's beginning to bear fruit, and
Right.
fruit that's lasting, spiritual fruit.
And and they're also, you were open to it.
Yep,
Because
yep,
that's the
yep.
other thing, right? Like some people want Jesus, but they still are not open to his teachings, right? So like the question. So I was going to ask you this question.
Well, Cambree in young youth there was pretty closed off to the Lord for a good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
the first time I met you. You were,
Yeah. I was more antisocial than anything.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted, yeah.
Yeah.
It wa-
I think Cambree is just like a perfect example of like she just had probably like such a good home life with like your
Yeah.
parents and your sister that you probably didn't need a whole lot more than.
You
That's
also
probably right
you
on the
also
nose,
hold
honestly.
a
Yeah.
ton of expectation on people back then. You had
I still have so
because
much expectation.
Well, right, but now the Lord has healed a lot of
Yeah.
those ways of how you view it.
Yeah.
Is where before it was like truly you had an expectation on yourself, and everyone needed to live up to the same expectation of how you hold yourself.
Yeah. Type 1
Oh
Enneagram.
yeah.
Well,
And
but that
so-
also part of that is that you have two parents who had high expectations of you, and you saw that not as a weight but as love,
yeah.
right? Like I mean, like when I think of your parents, like if you don't know him, like you have Coach Willie, right?
Yep.
Like Coach is not going to like pet your back and say, "How are you feeling today, honey?" Like that's not going to be him, right? He's gonna be like,
Correct.
all right, like
That is
figure
not
it out.
him.
Let's get better.
You're
all
right. That
stuff.
teacher was wrong. They shouldn't have given you that bad
Oh
grade.
my
It's the
gosh.
teacher's
Oh
fault.
man! Oh,
Yeah,
you're
no.
doing bad in English. The teacher must hate you. Like really? Like that's the problem, right?
Yeah,
Anyway,
no.
So what's cool is that you guys. So you had so many good things going for you, right?
Yeah.
The chances are. So I think what's really great about this episode is I love having a conversation about how things could have gone wrong for you so easily, and how by the grace of God you had all the right things for it to go right. Right. So I want to ask you two questions. Okay. So the first question is, when was the time when you were the closest to not making it? Okay, that's the first question, and then and you don't have to go super deep into detail. I just want to know like
I
was it
want
2 years
detail.
in, 3 years in?
I want it all.
And then the second question I have for you is, if you could give advice to people that are a few years behind you, people that are 5 years younger, 3 years younger. Yeah, even 5, because that would make him 15,
Yeah.
right?
That'd make
so that's
them
the
at
second
your age.
question.
Yeah.
So when was the time that you were the closest to like calling it quits?
You can go first because it was more so you.
Those
Which
first
is also normal.
those first 2 years were really difficult. Like
So what was difficult about them?
you don't know this person. Like we didn't know each other for very long before we started dating. So
You didn't know yourself well.
Yeah.
And also didn't
Yeah.
know the
you
other-
didn't know, you don't know what you need. You don't know really very much about yourself. And then you're changing, like every 6 months, you feel like a new person.
Yep.
So, like, that's really difficult. And then I also didn't know him, like, at all. Like, we started dating, like, when we met each other, basically. So, like, I'm learning you as I'm learning myself, as I'm trying to do a relationship the right way. Like, very difficult, very difficult. And those first 2 years, just the constant trying to understand what each other needs and what each other wants and what are the goals here? Like, what are we doing and how do we do it well? How do we do it healthy? My big thing is type 1 Enneagram. Do it right. Like, do it the right way. Do it the most healthy way. Be the best, like, version of us. And so trying to figure that out at 15 years old.
This stuff is such a. I'm sorry, Cambree. Just hearing you say that
It's
stuff, I'm like,
insane.
no 15-year-old things like that.
I know. It really was the Lord, because before I was saved, I was a perfectionist always, but I didn't, want to do everything the right way, the most moral way, all those things. But so all that to say, it was just really difficult, like trying to understand what each other needs, love languages, all those things. And so there were 2 times I can remember, like in those 2 vivid times in those first 2 years that I can remember being just like, dude, if you don't figure
That's
Hey,
Cambree.
you know it's about to be a bad conversation when you talk
if you don't figure this
call
out,
you honey, and now you, dude.
So why did you tell? Why did you? So okay, so you're about to say something so special, which is I believe men are better because women check them,
maybe.
and because because they welcome that checking. I really believe that, you know. So you're about to check this man, right?
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
not saying he was wrong,
Or
he might have been.
He could have been wrong.
Yeah,
Not
but-
necessarily wrong, just needed change.
Yeah. And
You know?
so what did you say?
I remember 2 vivid times, like looking at you straight up and being like, if this doesn't change, we can't, like, this can't work anymore. You know, like you remember those times. You don't remember
I
those
was like, I
times?
blacked it out.
They were
I blacked it out.
PTSD blocked in there. That doesn't surprise me at
I
all.
survived.
PTSD.
All I know is I'm
Post-traumatic
here
Cambree.
today.
But like, if those things didn't change, like we totally
Yes.
would have broken
Yep.
up.
Yep.
So what
Totally.
were those things? If it's okay to share them.
Yeah, we would tell pretty much anybody them.
I don't know what they are.
Yes, you do.
It's because he changed, Cambree.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just like the clinginess, definitely. Because
Yeah.
I was like in a place where I'm like, I was raised to be like, I don't need no man, you know, like.
Until
just-
you
still
need
that
a
way.
man.
yeah, like strong, independent woman. Like that was who I was raised to be. Like you could ask my parents that. And so I was not really interested in the like,
Which-
oh,
Which can I pause? Can I pause there for a second, Cambree? Because I want to clarify something because we've gone through the same thing with Tara, and we discussed this whole thing about like women being independent and all that stuff last week, and so I wanna point this out that what you are saying probably, and if I'm misrepresenting you, please correct me. So what I'm hearing you say, knowing you, especially what your future is, that you're getting married, right? You're obviously not living in a life of I'm an independent woman, I need no man.
No,
right?
not
Obviously
anymore,
not because
no.
you're getting married, right? But I think there is something to say about how a girl is raised to have enough security to not need the affirmation of a man
yes.
too early, and to set herself up for the right time
Yes.
to actually receive that and like
Yes.
ride into the sunset with it.
100%.
And,
Right.
and she doesn't rely on me even now. It's you're very independent still. Like we're getting married. Like yes, if there's a day goes by and you don't see me, you're like, oh,
I'm depressed.
But that's an example of that. She's starting to transfer that dependence.
Oh,
Right,
100
right.
Oh my gosh. After that initial period, I mean, you can probably speak on this. Like, we have flip-flopped roles in a more healthy way. I'm not like codependent, but
Yeah.
like we've
I
definitely
definitely was.
We've
Yeah.
definitely flip-flopped, and it's so much
Which
more
is
healthy now.
also
Oh, yeah.
normal.
I mean, we literally.
Yeah.
I've had a conversation with you back when you were dating her. I was like, dude, you need to stop. Like, you need
Yeah.
to let her. And I even told you, you need to be kinder to that man.
Oh my gosh,
Like-
I was so mean.
Like, and we've had
So
those
mean.
many conversations, and now sitting in premarital together,
Yeah.
seeing. And I've told you this in private, and I'll publicly say it. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of where you guys have grown. I'm proud of you guys how you've been in your communication. You're not perfect. You're not this perfect couple that's on this like stand. Like you're not to me at all. But what I see is a couple that's pursuing Jesus, trying to bear fruit that lasts in him, and are willing to have tough conversations when you used to not.
Yeah.
Like you did
Oh my
not,
gosh,
you
yeah.
never wanted anything to do with a tough conversation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so, which is funny that you don't remember it because you're like, yep, PTSD. I don't remember it. I don't want anything to do with it.
All you know is you made it through, you grew,
Yeah.
and you were able to. The reason why I said that's normal is because I just honestly think like girls like mature so much faster than
100%.
guys do.
Oh, yeah.
And
100%.
you guys exist for the purpose of helping us, like sort of get there, right? Not that like women's job is to like raise boys. Like that's not like your job whatsoever. But if the match is right and you're getting back some of the things that you do need for your own journey, right? Then you are willing to wait for that growth, you
Yeah.
know, and that's essentially what happened,
Yeah.
right? Like you lived in that tension,
Yeah.
like, dude, my goodness, you need to figure some stuff out.
Slap
But
you in
you
the
weren't
back.
getting enough. Go ahead.
We were actually we were organizing Cole's closet
yeah.
a few weeks ago, preparing to move out. You know, you want to declutter. And we actually came across like a lot of notes from
Apology
each other.
notes.
Apology
notes.
notes.
Both of us, mainly
From
me.
both of us. Yeah, apology
Which is
notes.
also normal.
like I know the past couple weeks have been difficult. Like that was insane.
And
The
you're probably
number.
in tears.
There's a tear on the page.
There actually were. There actually
water.
were.
There was. There was, but like there were definitely just rough spots. But I
Absolutely,
think
yeah.
like something to answer your second question, like of just what would I share to somebody younger, and just a point of our own experience. Like Cole's not the only one that improved and changed. Like not gonna rag on
Oh
you.
yeah, no,
like
definitely. I know we're beating on you right now.
oh my gosh,
But
like
like also, so what? So actually, let me ask that question. Like, what are some things
Oh my
that you're gonna
gosh,
tell
yeah.
people? Like, what are some things that you grew in?
yeah, I like you said before, I was so sharp, like so sharp, like no funny business, like to the point. That was who I was, and that's still down in there, but I have been since softened because
Sanctified, huh?
yeah, like they're seriously. Cole used to tell me, like he used to quote this. I don't know where it comes from
It's
or
from Joe.
what. Honey over nails.
Honey, not nails.
Honey, not nails. I have it written on my mirror since. It's been there for probably 5
You said
years.
it?
Yeah,
You said it?
yeah.
It's
She got
probably
sticky
been
notes
there.
all over her bedroom.
So
with
what's
that,
honey nut
actually.
nails? I don't know what that means.
Just
Teach
to
me.
speak with honey, like to talk to somebody with sweetness and kindness, and not with nails trying to drill something into them, because that's 100% how I was.
Good, Pastor Joe.
100%.
Did you know your quote was on her mirror?
No
at that
idea.
Did you know that for
No, I
5
didn't
years
know
it's been
that.
there?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so like you imparted that on me from him, and that
And that's what I love. What I love seeing is that exact thing, that you were willing to receive from each other.
Oh, yeah.
That I feel like is the most dangerous thing in high school, because as moldable as you are, I also feel like we have the constant battle of I am the smartest, then I am the wisest,
Oh, yeah,
smartest person in
so
history right now.
egocentric.
Right. Like
Yeah.
we're just like, oh, I'm learning and I know everything. And
Yeah.
so especially when you start dating, it's like, I mean, I watched light switches in like what I would call it in relationships, where they would date someone and then it was like, oh, they said something, they'd turn off the light switch and go turn on a new one. I'm like, what is happening? Like, you've dated like 5 people in 5 months. What is
Yeah.
going on? And it's like, well, maybe there's one common denominator in those 5 relationships, and you may need to check it out and see if it's not actually all the other people.
Yeah.
Right.
It might actually be you.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that you need to check on. And
Yeah.
what I loved watching you two, and I tell you guys at premarital, thing that I love seeing is that you're willing to be real with each other, and you're willing to have a screaming match or frustrated or
Yeah.
annoyed
We don't
or
have
whatever it
screaming
is. And just,
matches.
they don't have screaming matches. But just like you're
Which is
willing,
good, too.
you're willing to be just genuinely real, to have conflict in a way that's just like, okay, you're in confrontation. I'm in confrontation. Do
Yeah.
we feel safe? Are we good to have a real conversation right now?
Yep.
Let's move forward. And you're willing to move forward in it, when before you would shut down
Oh yeah, it
and
would
you
be
would
so quick.
and you would implode and get frustrated as heck and
Yeah.
just like and drive nails.
Yeah.
And what I love seeing is now what the Lord has done in you two of just, one, it's maturity, but 2, it's communication
Yeah.
in a relationship. And again, you didn't, there's like, I feel like sometimes people put on a crazy expectation on high schoolers and middle schoolers to where like you almost need to have everything like figured out in that moment. But it's like, in reality, you are figuring it out.
yeah.
There's no, you don't know what dating looks like.
It almost seems
like-
unfair. This is what I was going to say.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
it almost sounds unfair with as much resources as you guys had to expect that a person listening would have those resources. Like I'm just being honest, because
Yeah.
when I was in high school, my parents were divorced. All I knew was the wrong way to do it. All I had was the example of my friends in high school. I had no relationship with Jesus.
Yep.
I mean, go down the list, right? I almost feel and I have to almost apologize and say like, hey, listen, like if you're listening to this, and let's say you're in high school, or let's say you're in your well, actually, hopefully it's different in your 20s, but like there are having a good relationship takes so many good like check boxes, and so I want to finish this way, and I want to ask you guys this. And we're gonna hopefully record another episode with you guys here very soon. But so if you had a word of advice if you could actually, let me make it very very personal. If you could talk to young Cole at 15, if you could talk to him at 15, and you could talk to Cambree at 15, what would you tell them? So whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, for me, it would just be to tell my younger self, like, you don't have to confide in another person. Because growing up, my identity was Cambree. My identity wasn't, Kohl. I didn't, I guess, have like almost like a respect for myself. I felt like I was, like I belittled myself and spoke down about myself.
Had low self-confidence.
Yeah, very low self-confidence. So, the only confidence I had is hot girlfriend. It was like,
whatever.
No, as a man.
What's
that's
hilarious
a man,
about that is that's the reason why
yeah.
guys get girlfriends most
Yep.
of the time is because when they get the pretty girl, then they get affirmed about who they are, right? So,
but even
that's
while
totally
dating,
normal.
while dating, it was, oh gosh, I kicked my coverage. You look in the mirror and you're like, holy crap.
I need to go to the gym.
Yeah. So that's when I started going to the gym. I was like, dang.
By the way,
I gotta catch
this
up.
is a video of Cole
Here,
at
watch
the
it.
gym when he
Oh,
first
no.
started his
Check this
career.
right now.
Check
Yeah,
this out.
check
He's
this
trying
out.
to climb on the wall. And
Hit
do
the
a
link
stand-up
below.
push-up. It's amazing. Anyway,
Keep going.
So I think that's what I would tell my younger self is be confident in yourself. Don't confide in another person.
Why?
Yes, Cambree's great, but you can't confide in someone else because you can't fix them. Even now going into marriage, we talk about in pre-counseling or premarital, and it's as a guy you just want to fix. And if you have your identity or you just confide in someone else for your identity, it's like you really get stuck between a rock and a hard place. You can't. You can only scream at your significant other so much before they're like, okay, well, if you just want to talk like that, peace out. But if it's yourself, you can scream at yourself all you want until you fix it. So it's 100% up to you. It's not up to, well, if Cambree starts hanging out with me more often, I'm not going to cry and complain and my mom come in my room and say, you need to be nicer to her or she's not going to like you anymore. I don't know how many times.
Quote.
I don't know how many times we've been on
Thanks,
the phone.
Mom.
Yeah. Thank your mother right now for that.
Mom, I hated my mom.
From like 14 to 17.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we'd be on FaceTime or a phone call and she'd walk in and Cambree would be like, did your mom just tell you that? I'm like, yeah. Or my mom would be like, hang up with her right now. I'm going to talk to you.
Let's go, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, that makes me want to flip a table. That's what I'm talking about.
No one would
wasn't-
see it in Melissa Turbinen,
Right.
but
Let's go.
she laid down the law when it came to
come on.
Cambree.
But what
She
I
said,
love
you better
that-
not lose her.
Thank you.
Because what I love is Mama saw what blessing you had, number one. A woman that loved the Lord and loved herself before she loved you. Right? Loved her family before she loved you.
Right.
And she was pursuing her own stuff and was like, if you want to join me, you can come and join me. Like that, just you can come along, but I'm going this direction. She did not need you in that moment, right? Especially in high school. You don't need to be dating in high school, right? But it was a blessing to your life, right? And so Mama called that, right? And then you heard it, even though, because you and I have had many conversations. My mom yelled at me many times. We've had it many times. And I'm moving out. Yeah, Rachel, you pack your bag. How many times did you pack your bag, Cole?
Can't answer
Cool,
that.
legit.
I've said that many times. Oh yeah, because again, I've done the same. I've walked to the end of my driveway with a backpack, and I'm like, nah, it's not a good idea.
So what you're saying is that you listened.
Yes, you listened and you heard from your mom and from someone that wanted the best for you, but also loved her as who she was.
So I want to clarify what you were saying.
Loved her
Cole.
more than me.
I love that.
No. Well, I want to make sure that that what you were saying, that it comes across, as clear as you were meaning it to. When you were saying that you shouldn't confide your identity in somebody, you mean like you shouldn't like make it dependent on that person.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Depend on, yeah.
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 Okay. That's great. That's great.
So who should you depend on?
Jesus Christ.
Period.
My Lord and Savior.
All right, hit it, Cambree.
For me, I think I would look back and tell myself two things. One, well, they go together. Two, humble yourself, because I thought I was perfection. I thought I was.
I am Jesus Christ.
I mean-
in woman form.
I really thought I had no flaws. And humble yourself. Yeah, because I mean, everybody can humble themselves, but I really thought I was all that in a bag of chips. But humble yourself and be willing to change, because I was just so like, I don't need to change. Like, he's saying these things, but that's because he's emotional and so
'cause he's not perfect.
and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so you
and
would-
so
you'd
in
make
my
excuses.
brain,
Yep.
in my brain.
So what you're saying is that in the midst of all his feelings and his clinginess, he was still telling you truth that you needed to
oh my
listen
gosh,
to.
100%.
So what's something that he was telling you then that made sense that you needed
that
to be
I
humble
needed to be kinder and not so rigid and not so like just sharp. Like I was so sharp and I wasn't kind and I wasn't sweet. And it took me 2 years to really like realize that this is the love of my life. Like this is who I'm going to spend forever with, who I'm going to have kids with, like who we're going to do life with forever. And why am I treating him like a piece of crap? Like, why am I talking to him so terribly? And why am I doing that? You know, and this is somebody's son. This is God's son. And I'm out here like just
Flip a table in this place.
and I'm out here ragging on him.
Come on.
You know,
Come on.
and being so hateful and just not kind. And so you had to teach me that. The Lord had to teach me that. I need to be kind.
So where do you
and
think the
sweet.
Lord began to shift? Because really what it is, what I'm hearing in the biblical, in the scripture that comes to my mind is you were speaking death, not life.
Yeah.
So when was the moment that you felt like
Nails,
the Lord...
not honey.
Yeah, nails,
In the
not
words
honey.
of a wise man.
Where do you feel like the Lord started to shift you? What was like a defining moment in that you like just started to go from death to life? Where do you feel like that was like a moment? Was there a divine like during worship? Was it during prayer? Or do you actually feel like the Lord was revealing something over a period of time? What do you think?
And then I have one last question after that.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't believe that it was like a one moment for me.
I don't
Let's
know.
hear it. I wanna
I
hear it.
remember specifically like maybe it wasn't around 2-year mark. 2-year mark is when we really got better. When we were
Yeah.
like out of the clear. Like, okay, it's not questionable
Yeah,
anymore.
we
It's
kind of
not
get each
questioning
other
me.
now.
I'm not sure exactly like when. I'm sure I could nail down a timeline
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
But I mean, there was a night of worship during one of the student camps that we went to when you were still there, and I mean, we sat on the floor and cried in each other's arms like babies
Yeah.
for 2-3 hours, just sobbing. And I don't know, like I felt like for me from then it was like, wow, like. You know, when we first started dating, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the girl I'm going to marry. That's why I'm dating her.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't until that moment I was like, wow, that's my future wife. And I think that's really when I started to see things shift, even with me, but even with you also, it was, you know, a pure sense of love, not
Yeah.
a
Physical.
like
Yeah.
superficial.
So
like,
so the Lord started to do work when you were pursuing him in his presence
Yeah.
is when the Lord started to do work in your own relationship.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. You said you had a question, and let's land it with
Yeah,
this.
I just want to ask you like real briefly, what are you most like just one thing? What are you most excited about getting married?
Just to do life together. Like,
But what about life? Like what's like one thing that you're like, man, that's going to be cool. You know, like so for example, for me, like I just loved not having to drop Tara off ever again.
that is like so big. Like not
Like
having
going,
to
like go home together.
not
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to leave, like not having to like say bye at the end of the night, like and I just picture like our life. Like I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like I just see a picture of us married in our home and like just hosting our friends and family and like kids and like that picture, like just being on the track to get there is so exciting.
Do you ever
So-
feel weird about it?
I feel scared to be an adult, not to be married. I feel scared to be an adult,
Amen.
not to be married.
Water bill or having
Yeah, water bill or Wi-Fi. Just what
Yeah.
you have to pay for your Wi-Fi. That
But I
stinks.
don't feel scared to be married.
I love it.
It's
I love it.
it's
I love it.
exciting.
All right, Cole.
for me, I mean, there's a million different answers that I have, but something that stuck out to me growing up, stepping into adulthood, I guess is what you would call it at 20 years old.
You are an adult for
and
2
having
years.
like adult friends is like, I can't wait to like lead her as her husband.
Come on.
And also like even outside of marriage, like help lead our friends. like, I don't know, start a community group, something like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
that's the first thing I think of. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a cool house. She's, you know, I forget what the term is, like house pregnant or whatever it is. Where she's like,
Nesting.
no,
Nesting is
no,
the
I'm talking about
term.
like where you are dying to renovate a house.
Oh, okay. I see what he's saying.
I forget the exact term for
That's
it.
just-
That's the
pregnant's not
first
it,
thing that
but
popped
yeah.
in my mind.
That's not it.
But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a cool house, whatever. She's designing it, but I can't wait to host people also just to
I love it.
like be the hands and feet of Jesus to our friends and also
Yeah.
her.
That's
Come
so
on.
cool. So
I love
I heard something from both of you guys that this is super sweet, super beautiful. That so in Spanish, there's the word home is hogar, right? And hogar comes from the word fire. So it's like if you like have it's like hoguera, which is like a fire, and so the visual representation of like a home is like the fire that you are like keeping with like the people that like are your people. You know what I'm saying? And so I love that you both made mention of like bringing other people in to enjoy that fire, and which is like such a beautiful part of being a married couple and just having a family, that you get to invite people to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So
So
hey,
am I.
I just
yeah.
love you guys so much.
Love you guys. I'm excited
Love
for
you.
our next episode that we get to
Yeah,
have.
we have to do like 17
we'll
more
have
of
we'll
these.
have 4 million and a half. But well, hey, thank you guys. Thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for talking, being real, being transparent. We truly, truly are honored by that.
Yeah.
Thank you for just taking the time on a night that was crazy and all that life. So thank you. I mean it. And Prolific, thank you so much for joining us. He pressed the button, which means we are officially on the way out. Will you guys say bye to the people?
Bye.
All right, we love you guys.
This music is so funny.
Deuces.